There is a loss of jobs in South Africa, in fact, from load shedding to job shedding.
I must call a Paulsen to take you out now.
German card.
You must make sure that you are one of the people who are going to deliver economic freedom in our lifetime.
Commissar Paulsen, of course, one of the founding members of the Economic Freedom Fighters back in 2013. You're still alive and kicking, and you remain steadfast in the economic emancipation movement. Welcome, Commissar.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me. I don't think there's any other place I would want to be, even if it was as an ordinary branch member.
Yeah.
There's no other organization that represents what I want, what I want for the people that I care about. And, people have left. They've gone to organizations. They've gone to organizations led by people that denied us for the very things we are fighting for. Boggles the mind.
Boggles the mind to the core.
Yeah.
And as a founding member, I can only imagine the level of betrayal or what's the word? You may feel somehow being let down by those that you founded the organization with, and now they're jumping ship. But one wonders what makes you remain steadfast and believes that economic freedom in our lifetime will be achieved.
I do believe, and I do believe that we've got one of the best leaders to lead us to economic freedom. The same leader that led us in a fight against those people that denied us economic freedom. We've now had people go and join, so it's not leaving to go and join. It's actually people capitulating and saying it's fine. We're going to join those that denied our people the very things we fought for. So I'm not. That's the disappointment I have.
Yeah.
We had a generational mission, right?
Yeah.
That person denied us that generational mission.
Who? Yeah.
Free decolonized education. Our students are still fighting for it. We wanted fishing rights to indigenous and subsistence fishers. We're still fighting for it. We fought against that person for it.
Yeah.
We're fighting against the current ANC. So, in my mind, there's no other political party that can address the needs of our people other than the EFF.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
And our people should know that.
Yeah, you come from the coastal lines of the Western Cape, and globally, the global market share value of the fish production is estimated to be around about 4.1 trillion per year.
Yes.
And what sort of role does this fishing community or small scale fishing play in the fishing sector, or in the economy rather?
A very, very small role, and constantly diminishing. So what happens in South Africa? Every 15 years, there's a fishing rights application process.
Yeah.
And this only happened with the advent of democracy, where indigenous subsistence fishers had to apply for a right to go and fish. So it only happened with the advent of democracy. Before, there was another process that was less discriminatory.
Yeah.
Right, so now they have to go and apply, and they have to meet so many stringent requirements. In fact, the whole process is online.
Yeah.
So that already prevents 99% of indigenous and subsistence fishers from applying, because most of them don't even know how to use a computer. So they have to make use of someone who's going to charge them a fee. So it becomes exorbitant. So everything has been done to exclude our people from being able to fish. or getting a right to fish. So that's the tactics of current ANC, and it happens around the world where indigenous people are denied access to the resources of the country, and and in the Western Cape, fishing is the main resource that we have, and I don't believe that indigenous and subsistence fishers are responsible for decimating fishing stocks. It's the big fishing companies that are doing so.
Yeah.
So to deny them access on the basis that they are dwindling fishing stocks just doesn't make sense.
All right. Let's get the ball rolling. Thank you very much, the people of South Africa, Africa, and the world for tuning in. This is the EFF podcast, and I bring you this week edition of the EFF podcast. My name is Titus Tsungu. And today we are joined by Commissar Nazir Paulsen. He is the EFF MP and he serves in the portfolio committee on energy and electricity. Commissar, thank you very much for making time here on the EFF podcast, and good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for inviting us, inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. And I look forward to an opportunity to not just speak about the people of the Western Cape, but how the EFF is the only party that can represent and fight for the interests of the people of the Western Cape.
Because the EFF is the vanguard of the poor and the marginalized. Yeah. And that said, Commissar, you are one of the commissars and one of the founding members of the EFF who remain steadfast, even in the face of some call it exodus of people from the EFF to other political parties, but you remain a focused and disciplined member of the EFF, even though sometimes at some point you were not even deployed. Perhaps we can dip into that. Why do you remain so steadfast in the EFF?
Well, it's I as you say, I'm one of the founder members. So I was there when we compiled the founding manifesto, when we authored the constitution, and all of that speaks to not just to South Africans in general, but also to the people that I care about, the people of the Western Cape. It's if one looks at even on international relations, the EFF is the only party that in its formative, in the very beginning, spoke about, for example, its position on issues in the Middle East, Western Sahara, Cuba. So those are things that for any progressive person and for any internationalist are very important. And the EFF is the only party that at the very outset addressed those issues and what its position would be regarding Palestine, Western Sahara and Cuba. So I think those are critical things. We also spoke about, or we also addressed issues of the natural resources of this country, and natural resources in the Western Cape would be the ocean, the fishing, and we address that. And we're in the very beginning, it speaks about how we should be given access to those natural resources. And over the years, when I was growing up, you could buy fish from the back of a bakkie that came. Really. So, and that would be someone who actually caught the fish himself and came to sell it directly to consumers. And it was cheap. And it was, and fish is high quality protein. So a lot of poor people, such as myself, could have access to high quality protein for very cheap. But now, if you look at the price of fish, so there's no competition for big businesses who now also catch fish, because that small scale indigenous subsistence fisher has now been removed out of the equation. So there's no competition for white monopoly capital. So you go into a retail store, you're going to pay a price that is almost unaffordable. So we have to continue fighting for small-scale indigenous subsistence fishers to have access to the ocean, to go and not just eke out a living, but also to make high-quality protein like fish available to poorer communities.
Yeah. And as we pointed out that there are some people that are leaving the EFF, but you are here 10 years, rather 11 years later, because the EFF has just celebrated its 11th anniversary. What would you say to those people that perhaps are at this point undecided and they don't know whether to stay or leave? What would you advise them?
Well, as I said, the EFF founding manifesto and encapsulates its generational mission. The things we fought for, free, quality, decolonized education that we're fighting against the current government. This government was led by that same person that denied us free, quality, decolonized education, that denied us access to the oceans. Yes. So why go and join a person that really did not take care of the people of this country?
I think it's overrated.
I think it's you're not leaving to go join a party. You're actually just capitulating. You're saying, I'm giving up the fight. So, and there's nothing progressive about the MK. There's nothing progressive about a political organization that says teenage girls that fall pregnant must be sent to Robben Island.
Yeah.
Teenage girls don't fall pregnant by themselves. What about the boys? It's there's a far deeper problem other than you can't just blame it on promiscuity. A lot of young girls fall pregnant because they don't have any option but to sell their bodies in order to survive. And those are the things we should be looking at. Not wanting to punish girls for falling pregnant. Look at the reasons why they fall pregnant. You'll find that in most cases, young women are forced to sell their bodies to survive because we live in a country where the economy is totally anti-poor. So those are the things we should be looking at. So there's nothing progressive about that party. It's nothing. So it boggles my mind why intelligent men and women would want to join such a political party. It's irrational. Doesn't make sense. So, be that as it may, for every person that lives, we must just go out and recruit hundreds more, because so many people. I'm inundated with requests from across this country.
Sure, absolutely.
Who do I contact to join the EFF in my area? So. I don't, we always speak about the one or two people that leave, but we never speak about the thousands that join
are coming
the
in,
EFF in its place, And to me, the ones that join are far more important. Training them, preparing them to play a meaningful role in the organization, because many people that join the EFF don't just want to be a card-carrying member. They want to be active. So that is where our focus should be, not be distracted by people who leave.
And those that are coming in are, in fact, more than those that are perhaps leaving.
Definitely. So, on my way here to Johannesburg, I'm standing in the queue and I meet this wonderful young man. He's a 28-year-old MBA graduate from the University of Cape Town, my alma mater.
Yeah.
And he sees me and he says, I always wanted to join the EFF. I just never had the time. And it's a professional person that works in the energy space. So that's the caliber of people we get joining the EFF. 28 years old, MBA graduate, a professional, who I then said, because I've got this electricity and energy responsibility now, I should have my own people that I would consult with, and I wanted him to be part of that group that I would consult with on issues related to energy and electricity. 28 years old.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, So it just so happens that as we board the plane, he sits next to me, and I'm telling him, and we chatted all the way, and I'm telling him, you could actually be the EFF Minister of Electricity
True.
and Energy in future,
Yeah.
because he's really excited and passionate. It's just he never had the time. He's a professional, so I think I obsess more about those people that join the EFF.
So it's not more about the quantity, but it's also about the quality. The quality
Yes,
that we
yes,
attract.
we've got quantity, and we're getting quality as well. So even the normal community activists out there, those are the people I'm passionate about that join the EFF and want to play a role. I don't obsess so much about people that leave.
Yeah.
All I know is that they are good caliber people joining the EFF. And it's actually an insult to say that those that leave, they take away so much. Really, it's an insult. I think those that remain behind are just given more opportunity to show their value to the organization, as opposed to what we are losing.
Yeah. And now, when we look at the Western Cape, it's one of the largest exporter of fish
Yes.
in South Africa.
Yes.
But when we look at the representation of blacks and colored people in the fishing sector, they remain marginalized. What could be the problem here?
Yeah. You see, so as I've said, is that African and colored people are mainly subsistence fishers. They don't want to be wealthy. So over the years, they never had access to finances to purchase big boats. So if you really want to make profit out of fishing, you need to go into the deep sea. So you can't go 50 knots into the ocean and come back immediately. You must be prepared to stay there for quite a while.
Can you fish?
I can go out. Let me tell you.
Sure.
I go.
Or maybe
out,
you brought some fish here.
I go out onto a boat.
Yeah.
Right, and when I stop seeing the shore, I get very worried. So it takes a very special person. We should be very grateful to those people who enjoy being on sea, fishing for us. So as I was saying, so you need substantial equipment to be able to go out for weeks, to survive on that boat. You're going to have to sleep on that boat. You're going to have to practically live on that boat for a couple of weeks before you come back to shore. And you're going to have to be able to catch enough fish to make it sustainable. So your subsistence fisher doesn't have that kind of resources. So he catches fish. He doesn't even have a place to store fish. So the day he catches it, he has to sell it. Okay? So he sells it for very cheap so that he can dispose
Survive,
of it
yeah.
and he can survive. So the big fishing companies, they've got massive trawlers, the Desert Diamond. It's a factory ship. In fact, they catch the fish, they process, they store it. When it comes back, it can go straight to the retail shelves.
Yeah.
That's how organized they are. So you can't, the subsistence fisher can't compete with that. All he can do is sell his fish for cheap, go back again the next day. But he's given a limited quota to catch for the year.
Oh.
So he can't go and catch as much as he likes. He's given it a
Sure.
limit. So, for example, if he's going to catch snook, he's going to be given like 1,000 kilos of
Yeah.
snook. And a kilo of snook is like 5 to 10 kilos.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of snook to catch. So he can barely survive.
Yeah.
So we really need to look at how we can empower, but I also believe there are other opportunities. For example, aquaculture, where we farm fish in a controlled space. And it just so happens that one of our BRICS partners, China, they're one of the biggest aquaculture aquaculture farmers in the world. So they produce 50% of the fish they consume. And they 1.5 billion people. 50% of the fish they consume, is from aquaculture. And they've been doing it for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
It's new to us. Barely 1% of the fish we consume comes from aquaculture. And we're not, you can hardly compare our population to the Chinese population. We're just over 60 million people. The Chinese, 1.5 billion and growing. So we can learn a lot from them. And we just don't have a government that's got an appetite for these sort of things.
Yeah.
Imagine what we could do if we have aquaculture, the kind of opportunities we can create for people. And instead of government telling these big fishing companies,
Yeah.
We are going to give you a quota for the next 15 years, but we want you to also invest in aquaculture. Farming with fish and creating opportunities for other people. There's a very small corporate social requirement for those companies that win or that are awarded fishing rights. I think government has to increase what we expect from them.
Yeah.
And their responsibility to communities. This is why you will see that around the Western Cape, those fishing villages have now become like ghost towns, or in some cases like Paternoster, which is a traditional fishing village with those little white houses there, and the fishers used to live in those houses. They've sold those houses, and it's now become like a resort for very wealthy people, because if you're not going to fish, why live there?
Yeah.
So we really need to look at how we can revive our fishing communities, our fishing towns. And I think the only party that's sincere about it is
The
the
EFF.
EFF. Because the ANC and the DA, the people get the fishing quotas, that's their friends. This other guy, with that green outfit, he was in charge of that ANC when they were enriching those few people.
Yeah, true.
So my people don't, or the people of the Western Cape, the fishing communities across the country, they don't have a chance of getting justice with any other party but the EFF. And I think that,
Absolutely.
and but over and above, when as a person that's serious about the future of this country, and you have to look at the leaders of this country, you don't just look at the political posture. Look at them as people. We are led by a person with very traditional values. Wife, children, that's his foundation. Now, I'm a traditional person myself. I come from the Cape Flats. People there are very traditional. Those things are very important. A man that's able to build a strong, intimate relationship with another individual. I was at the CIC's wedding.
Sure.
So, and it's a wedding that lasts. It's regular seeing with his family. Every event where he's got a partner, it's his wife.
True.
That speaks volumes of the person that leads us. And that speaks volumes as to how important certain values are to him. And, so whenever a Commissar gets married, it's the CIC is there. It's an important
occasion.
Part of it is an important occasion, and and I think and that inspires, I think, people to hold dear to those values as well. So for me, if you can't build a meaningful, intimate relationship with one person, how are you going to commit yourself to a
Yeah.
party,
Yeah.
to a country?
Yeah.
That's very important.
And you took to X to speak about, I think I'm just going to paraphrase a quote by Fidel Castro that you posted on X, that you began a revolution with 82 men, and if you were to do it again, you'll just do it with 10 or 15 men with absolute faith. What persuaded you to write about that?
Well, that was a message not just for myself, but to everyone in the EFF. We are not 82 men. We probably more like 1,082 men and women. And I think that there's nothing to despair. Really, losing anyone is not going to determine whether or not the EFF survives. And I think that's very important. And I think we've got the right person to lead, even if we were to start over again, which is not the case. You're never going to diminish the EFF. There's never going to be a mass exodus. Never going to be a mass exodus of commissars and fighters.
Yeah.
I mean, for 2-3 months I wasn't in Parliament. I actually enjoyed it because now I could do more work. Parliament is a lot of work. If I look at what I do as a member of Parliament, you want to know as much about your area as possible. You don't have a lot of time. It takes up a lot of time. So I'm not there. I can go. I visited communities. I went to assist gogos and paint their houses. Undeployed. You don't need deployment for those things. If you're a person that enjoys community, you don't need deployment to do things to help the people that need help. So, and I enjoy community. Anyway, even if it was, I was deployed to Mohuasi, outside Rustenburg.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Out of your comfort zone.
Out of my comfort zone. I enjoyed it there. The people there was no light in one of the streets. I went there, and this guy complained to me. He said, we've been struggling to get street lighting here for a long time. There's lights, but it doesn't go on. I went to the municipality. I identified myself and I said, hey, you must come and sort out these things. And I said, nobody reported it. And for the first time in 5 years, 2 days later, there was lights.
Wow.
I was a hero in that community.
Wow. You are actually. You are.
And from then I could go there whenever I go there. And I went there a few times, and if I go there and I leave and I don't go and see certain people, they phone me and they say, you were right here and you never came to say hello to us. It's like when I come to Johannesburg and people say, you were in Joburg, you didn't even come say hello. This is the sense of community that South Africans have, but they need to feel comfortable with you. You're a public rep. Show them how you represent their needs. So as long as we stick to doing our job, people will continue to appreciate the EFF and its culture. And there's a beautiful culture within the EFF.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We've got a sense of community. We uphold good old-fashioned values.
Yeah. Yeah, we are a people's organization.
Yes.
Yeah.
Really.
By all means.
The commander-in-chief went to the funeral of the late councillor Mpashlele.
Oh, yes.
And to me, that is so touching, And so I think it's very few political parties where the leadership has such a strong relationship with the lower structures and even the branches, and that is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
You know, so how could you want to go to any other political party where you don't even know what the culture is? You don't even know what the constitution says
Yeah.
or what its
The
founding.
party that doesn't even hold conferences. There's
Yeah.
no democracy, in it, not at all.
And there's no founding manifesto as to what it's going to represent.
Yeah.
You know, so how do you do that? I mean, those are important
It's
things.
unthinkable.
You know, so we're 30 years into democracy. We're no longer joining parties just for fun. We need to know what the party stands for. And we need to know what its leaders are like. What is important to them. So I think the EFF will resonate more and more with the people of this country. More so now with the advent of the GNU. And we are the only hope for this country. And in my lifetime still, we will see the Commander-in-Chief as President of South Africa. And we can do it on our own.
Because this is a generational mission.
Yes.
Now, talking about the GNU, Commissioner Nazir, just recently, the BRICS has just approved a loan, I think it's 18 billion, for water and sanitation. Do you see the long-term benefits of that loan, or South Africa will just remain indebted?
No, I don't, because there's an increasing commodification of basic needs. You know, so a basic need is, I need a house, I need access to healthcare, I need access to education. Or I need education, not access to it. I need education, I need healthcare, I need decent quality housing with sanitation. So there's an increasing commodification of that. So the government is no longer ensuring that they have the capacity to build houses or sufficient capacity to provide education to each and every child, or to provide water and sanitation to each and every house. They will be increasingly reliant on the private sector to provide those things. We can see the proliferation of private schools simply because government has failed to keep up with the demand for education. In the Western Cape, for example, schools closed down. Teachers are being retrenched because 2,507 teachers will not return to school next year. So parents must now go, who are dissatisfied with the inadequate provision of education, will have to go and put the kids into private schools and pay a lot more for it. And this is the failings of government. The GNU is not going to improve things for us. The GNU is actually just the ANC agreeing with the DA's neoliberal stance of privatizing everything. For example, if you look at the commodification of electricity is expensive.
It is. And the price keeps going up and up.
Yes, now
all the time.
If you look at the price of electricity in Johannesburg, right, it costs even more in Cape Town because in addition to the 7% increase approved by NERSA, the DA increased it by another 2% almost. And that's for 2022, 2023. Then for 2023, 2024, NERSA approved a 15% increase. The DA pushed it up to 17%. They're currently in court.
Yeah.
If NERSA is successful, then the city of Cape Town would have to refund consumers for overcharging them for electricity. But this is what happens when you privatize things. So So government is allowing municipalities to distribute electricity.
Yeah.
And when you distribute electricity, you determine what you charge consumers for it. So in the EFF elections manifesto, we say ESCOM should be solely responsible for the distribution of electricity. That's the only way we can ensure that there's a standard price for electricity across the country. That would prevent greedy capitalists
One monopoly capital.
from exploiting our people.
And now most recently, we've seen load shedding being suspended and all coupled with fuel prices going down. To me, this looks very cosmetic and just a recipe for disaster. I mean, what are the strategies that are being applied here? And do you think, are they sustainable?
Yeah.
Or are we just being hoodwinked here?
Yeah, look, actually, there's still load shedding, but it's been repackaged as load reduction.
Which affects the poor.
Yeah, so load reduction will take place in like your poorer communities,
Oh, shame.
right? So and especially black, predominantly African black communities, especially here in Johannesburg, like Browns Farm or Leeuwenbos, those places will Eldorado, they will experience load reduction. So they justify this by saying that they are reducing strain on the grid by cutting off areas where there's most likely to be illegal connections, electricity connections. But it is not, a little household or a little walkie is not going to take a lot of electricity, right? The real culprits for stealing electricity is corporates that have, and there's a highly sophisticated network of criminals that assist big companies who owe the municipality
They don't
millions.
even pay their bills. Yes.
They don't pay. So what they do is they have an illegal connection, and it's not easy to do because you need a person within the municipality that assist them with connecting illegally, and they will obviously pay them and assist them. So those are the things that we should look at rooting out.
Go for the people of
Elders
because
one,
they are
elders
just
two.
the low-hanging fruits.
Yes, so
Easy targets.
Easy target, and they're not. You will find that if you cut off electricity to people in Eldorado or Browns Farm, it's not going to be a massive reduction in the strain on the grid. It's big business that's stealing electricity. And we've seen how very successfully the former MMC for Finance, Nkululeko Dunga, went and ensured that those people that have big bills and are still accessing
through the operation
how can any company that owes like 10, 20 million still be receiving electricity? Disconnect, pay your bill, then we reconnect you. And yet, so that only happened because there were people within the municipality that assisted them. And I think that we shouldn't just disconnect, but actually start interrogating, why are you still getting electricity if you owe us 10, 20 million rand? And you'll find that they were assisted by people within the municipality. So there's still load shedding. We've just repackaged it. There's load shifting, and we've racialized it. And it's classist because it targets the poor. It's very classist.
Yeah.
Because the real culprits are not the poor.
Yeah. And the markets seem to be very excited under this GNU, surprisingly. And you see petrol prices going down, almost every month now.
Yeah. Like I say, it's very superficial. It's trying to create an illusion that the GNU is working. there's still rampant poverty wherever you look.
Yeah. If you look at the unemployment
the
stats,
markets are
the crime
based
stats,
on growth for big business.
yeah.
But with rising unemployment, it tells you that growth in the economy is not really benefiting the people of this country. There's increasing poverty, increasing unemployment.
Yeah.
So when I can drive down the streets and not see someone begging for money for a loaf of bread at the traffic lights, I'll start to believe that a government is working.
Yeah.
But it's not happening. It's really not happening. When I start seeing, I mean, we've felt in the Western Cape, you felt the effects of this type of government. You'll see the Premier go and on the top of Table Mountain and take a photo of the beautiful vistas. And he'll tell the people how beautiful the Western Cape is. But in the townships, it's a very different story. It's not beautiful. It's miserable.
Yeah.
You know, round about Easter, there used to be this little pilgrimage that we take from Langa through to Khayelitsha carrying a wooden cross. Welcome to hell. You know, so...
Genius hell.
Genius hell. The rest of South Africa will experience what the people of the Western Cape experienced. You're paying less for electricity now. Brace yourselves. You're going to experience what we experience in the Western Cape. You know, for 600 units of electricity or 600 kilowatt hours of electricity, we pay 900 Rand more than the people of Gauteng.
Yeah.
So your turn is going to come.
We're already feeling the pinch.
Yes.
Some of us. And you
have not felt the full effect.
Yeah. Still coming.
Of neoliberal policies. The ANC has capitulated, just like those that have left to join that other greener pasture. It's actually only
so-called greener pasture.
It only looks green because there's a lot more fertilizer there.
Yeah.
So it's capitulating.
Yeah.
You know?
And you have the likes of Lepantiti taking to X to say the GNU is lasting more than the Progressive Caucus. What's your view on that? Do you think the Progressive Caucus is falling apart?
No. Look, Mapantiti is not a person of intelligence. Just gets excited.
So you know who's Lepantiti?
Yes, he's not a person of intelligence. He's just a person of excitement. He's now fighting for young people to be given access to proper sporting facilities. You know, the EFF has been advocating that young people must be involved in sport. And, had there been an EFF around when he was a child, we say a child in sport is a child out of court.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he just gets excited about things. It's he's just a distraction. There's nothing that's... And about the Progressive Caucus, I wouldn't say it's falling apart, but, we are not going to enter into anything, whether it's Progressive Caucus or GNU for the sake of convenience. We are representing our people, right? And should the people we are sitting with not really act in the interest of those people we represent, we will make the conscious decision to walk away. That's at the heart of the EFF. We will never tolerate anything for the sake of convenience. It has to align with our principles and what we hold dear.
We'll never sell our souls.
We'll never sell our souls. And that's what I love about the man that leads this organization.
Yeah, the CIC.
It's not for sale. We must all embody that.
Yeah.
They say everyone has a price. Well, it depends what you're going to sell me. Sell me real things.
And the EFF is not going to be a compromise
No
in any
ways.
case.
No ways. And we won't celebrate small little things. Rugby is now on SABC. Why was it taken away from SABC in the first place?
Small victories.
Look at that. Why was it taken away? If rugby is so much of a national sport and you want everyone to enjoy it, why are you giving it to a private broadcaster? Why not leave it with a national broadcaster if it's our national sport?
Yeah, the
and
public
everyone
broadcaster.
must be able to enjoy it. Can't celebrate stupid things. This guy.
Yeah. He's just excited over nothing.
Over nothing. Look, as long as that guy can speak on TV and do foolish little things, he's happy. It takes very little to make a fool happy.
True.
No,
Yeah.
I want to see wide-scale transformation in our communities.
And that's a real change that we want to see.
That's what we want to see.
Yeah.
And that's what you're going to see under the EFF, not under this GNU arrangement.
Yeah. And talking about this DNU arrangement, the ANC and DA coalition, we have the likes of hardworking MPs like yourself serving in the portfolio committee on energy and electricity. How are you holding the coalition between the ANC and DA to account when it comes to the issues of energy and electricity?
Yeah. So I haven't had the opportunity to be in a meeting with a minister yet. I've only attended my first portfolio committee meeting. But I think already for me the biggest fight now is to ensure that, number one, our people have access to electricity. Number two, that it becomes affordable. And that we should actually ensure that there's a minimum of free electricity for everyone in this country. I think that's important to make sure that our people are given some electricity for free. Every household, not just some households. Because if this Gogo is getting free electricity because she's a pensioner, you need all the kids go and use electricity. Give everyone some free electricity because, and what I know is that older people, they watch their electricity meter, right? So they will switch off the lights in the room if they're not in that room. They'll switch off the TV if they're not watching TV. They even switch off the geysers in order to save electricity. Now you got your teenage grandchild here. Hey, that guy is going to charge his phone. He's going to watch TV through the night. He's going to shower whenever. So it kind of defeats the purpose. Give it to everyone so that we don't go and take from those who are getting it because of their status as an elderly person or an indigent person. Right? Because not all of us use the same amount of electricity. I have to purchase electricity in my home.
Yeah.
I've got teenage children. I've got a 10-year-old. So that's expensive.
So I want to understand from you, Commissar, that considering the plight of the coloureds and black Africans, particularly in the fishing sector, do you see them being represented differently under this GNU?
Yeah. Look, so I served in the portfolio committee for forestry, fisheries, and environment, right? And I was fully aware of the plight of people in the fishing industry, the African coloured communities, as well as forestry. I mean, forestry is big, really. But the DA, they focused on rhinos going extinct. They never raised issues about forestry or fishing. They weren't concerned about that. It's only the EFF that spoke about the issues concerning our people.
Sure.
I mean, what do they have to fight for? White monopoly capital has got the rights over all our fishing stocks. There's nothing. It's the battle won for them. And it's a battle that they won against the ANC. The ANC has actually just capitulated now by having a GNU with the likes of the DA and the Freedom Front Plus. Because the very things that we are fighting against, the DA and the Freedom Front Plus represent. That whites control everything in this country. They control all our resources. They will now even be responsible for providing for our basic needs. If you look at the value chain of agriculture, for example,
Yeah.
everywhere along that value chain, there's no place where black people benefit. It's white people. Like there's a farming, there's no such thing as a farm. These are agricultural corporations. This family would own 37 farms across the country. They would produce everything from meat to grain, vegetables, fruit, everything.
Yeah.
It's monopolized. If you look at Z22, then Limpopo,
ZZ2.
or ZZ2, sorry, those people control the production of tomatoes. They determine the price of tomatoes. And they can produce it because of the economies of scale.
But we don't have a factory that produces tomato sauce in Limpopo.
Exactly. So, because, but there is a factory that produces tomato sauce. It's just that the people of Limpopo don't benefit from it. It's taken elsewhere. All Gold produces the best tomato sauce. So
Is it based in Limpopo? All Gold?
no, it's not
It's
based
not.
in Limpopo.
Yeah, I mean, it's not.
Yeah. So
The factory is not in
yeah,
Limpopo.
yeah.
So,
So
the
it's-
tomatoes are taken out of the province and elsewhere.
It's not beneficiated there. It's taken
Yeah,
elsewhere.
you're taking the jobs away
You're
from
taking
the
jobs
province.
away
Yeah.
from the people of Limpopo. So, but while ZZ2 controls the tomato
And
sector,
even steals the water from the community.
exactly, while they control those things, the people of Limpopo will never benefit from the fact that Limpopo produces most of the country's tomatoes. And then, so also then the Western Cape, there's this interesting place. It's called Skarpkraal. It's in Cape Town, but it's an agricultural area. And it's situated on top of an aquifer. So beneath the soil, there's a huge lake. So you don't even need rainfall. So when there was water shortages, we were asking, why don't you just tap into this aquifer? 100 kilometers long, so much water there for free. You don't even have to rely on the rain. So and it's an
Desalinated.
so obviously so what happens is there's rainfall. That rainfall seeps into the ground, gathers in this aquifer, this underground lake, and it's pure, clean water. If you sink a borehole there, you can drink that water as it is. It's clean. So one of the things you could do, you could also recharge it with sewage water. It will be filtered, and you will draw up clean water. And it's and that area is a very fertile area. But what has happened now is that they want to convert that into residential areas, build suburbs. I'm not in favor of that. I think we should keep it as a agricultural area. And if people don't want to farm, we should just expropriate that land and give it to people who, like myself, who want to farm.
Yeah. You should be a farmer. You must lead by example.
Yeah. So because I think it's I love gardening. I'm just thrilled by being able to take a cherry seed, cracking the hard shell, taking the soft inner seed, wrapping it in tissue paper, dampening it, putting it into a container and leaving it in my fridge for 6 months, and after 6 months, sprouted roots, and you can grow a cherry tree. It's so amazing, and it's not impossible for anyone to do that. I think agriculture is capable of absorbing so much of our unemployed people. But we just
More so if we can expropriate land without compensation.
that would be a requirement. We need to expropriate land without compensation so that more people can benefit from agriculture. We can absorb much of the unemployed people, young people that are there, and also build agricultural schools.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the only way we could become sovereign again, food sovereign again, is if we have more people involved in the agricultural sector, and we have to expropriate land for that. Because a lot of these farmers, there's also this area, Durbanville. Now, Durbanville used to be, rolling hills of vineyards.
Yeah.
And it's nicely situated so that Durbanville Hills, it gets that cold air from the Atlantic Ocean. It was very good area for growing grapes, but it's been converted into gated communities now. No longer that many farms there.
Yeah.
And obviously, it's the Western Cape, so, when one farmer stops producing, it creates an opportunity for other farmers to kind of put up their prices of the product. And so it's not being stopped in any way.
Yeah. So if you come to think of it, the Western Cape is controlled by the Democratic Alliance. And what boggles the mind is, why is it that the Western Cape remains the DA's stronghold, despite the levels of crime, the backlog of housing, and also the disadvantage of the black and coloureds community that they continue to face, be it in terms of employment, be it in terms of the land and fishing rights. What have we done wrong? Where have we done wrong as the EFF, and what makes the DA remains a leading party, or the what's the word? The governing party rather in the Western Cape.
The DA doesn't govern the Western Cape. The Stellenbosch Mafia governs the Western Cape.
Okay.
Right? So in the past election, the DA got over 100 million rand of funding from individuals and organizations located in Stellenbosch. The same with the ANC. We didn't get much money. We got like 500 something thousand. We got even less money than Mapantiti. We got a couple of million. We got far less than this other Spaza Shop, Rise Mzansi, and Bold One South Africa.
And the ones that are now dwindling into insignificance, and some of his leaders are now jumping ship and joining the Green Party.
Yes. So we got less money than those parties, right? So in this past election, so all of those parties were funded by similar funders, the same funders. And the main message that those parties had was to fight the EFF. We were alone against everyone. Minimum resources, but fighting boldly. And if we look at the growth of the EFF in the Western Cape in this past elections, and specifically Cape Town, I think it was a valiant effort by the EFF in the Western Cape and Cape Town specifically to actually maintain in that metro its position as the third biggest party, even beating this other one. He managed to, but obviously the Cape Metro is an urban area.
Yeah.
He managed to infiltrate the rural communities. And I think we need to really put a lot of effort in the rural communities in the Western Cape. There's a lot of potential there. We need to strengthen the leadership there because there is even greater potential in the rural areas. And so the messaging was, don't vote for the EFF. It was, don't vote for the EFF, don't vote for, and they spoke about the doomsday coalition between the EFF and the ANC. And those very same people that spoke about the doomsday coalition between the EFF and the ANC are the ones that went to form a coalition with the ANC.
And benefiting quite heavily in this.
Exactly. So it was more a question of, don't choose him. Choose me.
Yeah.
I'll be more fun to be with.
Yeah.
And to the detriment of the people of the Western Cape, we're already seeing, those people voted DA, but in return, the DA is reducing the number of teachers in the Western Cape by 2,507 come January.
Why?
Austerity measures. So,
who's being affected? Blacks?
Poor African and colored communities will be affected.
That's segregation.
Yes.
That's apartheid. Eh?
Yes.
Apartheid tendencies.
Yes, that's apartheid. Apartheid is alive and kicking in the Western Cape. If these people who fund the DA 160 million rand really cared about the people of the Western Cape, why don't they fund those 2,500 teachers? It's not even going to take 160 million.
Yeah.
If you really care about the people of Western Cape, and if the government really cared about the people of the Western Cape, they must know that cutting funding for education is only going to affect the poor African and colored people.
True.
White people aren't affected.
They remain intact.
They remain intact because they go to private schools anyway.
Oh.
The likes of Kuro and all of those private schools.
Yeah.
They pay 5,000. I can't afford to pay 5,000 rand.
It's a lot.
Hey?
Quite a lot. Same here.
I've got children.
It's a lot of money.
I've got 2 children at university.
Yeah.
It's expensive.
Yeah.
And then, so my kids have always gone to public school. They just have one rule there, my kids. We don't tell them who's our father.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. And I think we must get to a level where there is no private, no public school.
Obviously, there should be one schooling system, just like we want one healthcare system, not 2 systems, one for rich and one for poor. And education, 2 systems. So you will see even at the end of the year, they have their results are released a day before us poor black people.
The IEB.
Yeah, the IEB. So there's 2 education systems. Right? So we did
the one for the white, for the rich, and the one
for the rich, one
for the poor.
So even so, healthcare is the same. There's a private healthcare for the rich and one for the poor, and the standard is very different for the 2. But I must say, there are some government schools that are really good. I mean, I look at results of public schools before I decide whether my daughter or son is going to go there. Very good.
Yeah.
And my kids pass and they go to university. I mean, I went to a very poor school.
True, same here. I'm from a public school.
I can tell you now. I can tell you now
Yeah.
how much my school fees were. I think it was about 20 rand for a year, because remember, I went to school a very long time ago.
I mean, you're exposing your age now.
Yeah.
I mean, some of us didn't
so-
pay
so
school
it was-
fees at our
so
time.
No. It was 20 rand, but I still didn't pay. Anyway,
Why? You
I don't know.
you boycotted?
No, it was just too poor, and I was just too poor, and I
Yeah.
I couldn't understand why must you pay for these teachers get a salary.
Yeah.
Government must maintain these schools.
Yeah.
Why must we still pay fees? So even when my mother gave me the money, no, never mind.
Yeah. Why would you do the money?
I was a conscientious objector
Yeah.
to paying for education, but now I can't afford to object. They send you a letter and
Yeah.
you must pay up. You know, and my daughter would tell me, Dad,
Yeah.
did you pay the school fees this month? I don't want the teacher mentioning my name. Because they do that.
Yeah.
I say, the teacher mentions your name if you don't. This is illegal, you know? But, you know, my daughter, she's 10 years old.
Yeah.
She's comes from a revolutionary home. She takes it on the chin. You know, she understands that these things should actually be given for free, because one day, if you're given a good education, one day your pursuit professionally will plow back into this country.
Yeah.
And that's the basis of us wanting free, quality, decolonized education, is because in return, we're going to plow back into this country. We're going to build this country. We're going to develop this country. We're going to advance this country. And we should be investing in our young people.
Sure.
Government should be investing in our young people. It's not unrealistic demands. You know, so when I went to university, the government gave you a bursary if you studied certain fields. I said, okay, I want to study that field. I can get a bursary.
Okay.
Right?
What did you study?
BCom.
Okay.
And they said if you do well enough, and then, you know, the bursary just becomes a grant. You don't have to worry
Okay.
about
To
paying
pay
back.
back. Yeah.
And but even so, I still went to teach for a few years after graduating, because I actually enjoy teaching. In fact, before coming to the EFF, I was lecturing at a University of Technology. Enjoyed it very much. So when I didn't return to Parliament, I got some calls and say, hey, we still teach Python here. How's your Python skills? I said,
Yeah.
actually, last night I was building an app using Python. So I think
So you and snakes are friends.
me and
Snakes.
no, Python is actually a programming language.
Oh, I thought maybe you were talking about pythons.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
so it's a programming language, and it's used, and it's a very popular language now, especially when it comes to data science, machine learning, building artificial intelligence. And it was a language that we introduced at university just before I left, and they still teach it. So was one of the first universities to adopt the Python programming language.
Oh.
We had a giraffe view.
Oh, love you. Yeah. So are you married? And just talk to us about your childhood. What kind of childhood have you had?
So
And-
I want to start with my childhood, and I think I suppose this is another area where the CIC story resonates with me. I was raised by my mother and my elder sister. My mother's passed away. My sister, she's still alive and very much the bedrock of our family. And I think I'm very grateful to the women in my life to have raised me and contributed to my political consciousness. I mean, both my mother and sister were activists and involved in the struggles of our community. They were involved in an organization called the Cape Areas Housing Action Committee, So even during the days of apartheid, we had to
Yeah.
fight for decent homes. So even now we're still fighting for decent homes. It's like apartheid hasn't ended.
Yeah.
No, it's just changed its face from apartheid to democracy. But the systems behind are still fully intact.
Yeah,
You know.
because it reminds me of an incident that occurred in Limpopo where 2 farm workers were shot dead by farm owners, white
Yeah.
farm owners,
And fed to pigs.
and fed to pigs.
Exactly.
That's
This is how,
nonsensical.
the way we were treated under apartheid, we are still treated like that. Because we haven't changed the systems that kept apartheid going. Systems like land ownership. Who has the major stake in the economy?
Which perpetuates racism, by the way.
We've perpetuated. So the GNU is not going to change the fundamental things that are wrong with this country. It's only the EFF that's going to bring about that change. So I want to speak about, you ask me if I'm married.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was married twice.
Okay.
Right? I've got 5 beautiful children. I'm very grateful to their mothers for raising them the way they have. They have wonderful personalities, well behaved, so and they bring a lot of joy to my life, and those are things that are important. I've got a very strong relationship with my kids. They are my best friends. My youngest 10-year-old daughter, she's my very best friend.
Okay.
She knows
That's actually good, eh?
She knows everything about me.
Yeah. She even knows that you're here.
Yeah, yes, definitely.
Yeah. She's
so-
definitely watching.
And she knows me so well.
Yeah.
She can even preempt how I would respond and react to certain things. Daughters are like that, and my daughters. So, we would be, my eldest daughter even, we'd be walking in public, and there's maybe something that peculiar that I would comment on, but she would nudge me and say, "Don't say anything." So, because they know you that well. So
Yeah.
that's the, if you dare. If you haven't built that kind of relationship with your children where they know you so well, they can preempt how you're going to react to instances, then I think you kind of,
I mean, that's priceless.
you've kind of missed out on something very beautiful, So, like I said, those are the things that I value. My relationship with my children, my gratitude to their mothers for raising them, and the president has same values. So, it resonates with me. It's the energy is at the same wavelength.
Yeah.
If you're not going to value those things, I think our energies would be out of sync. You can see a lot of young commissars in the EFF. They have very strong relationships with their kids. You will always see them posting, and because we are very busy. We serve the people of this country. We ensure that we fulfill our obligations as commissars in our deployments. So the time we have with our kids is very precious.
It is.
So and I see a lot of commissars have similar values. I mean, with their kids, very important with their families. So those are critical things in a leader and leadership collective that will take this country forward. That there's a consistent energy.
Yeah, there's too much energy.
You know, it's people that values the same things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I also said I come from this Cape Flats community, and they have very basic needs. They don't dream of luxury.
Yeah.
All they want is, they want an opportunity to take care of their families and themselves. They don't dream of
True.
luxurious
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
And I think, and that is very simple for any government to provide its citizens if it wanted to.
Yeah.
Every person can have a job.
Yeah.
We must just minimize the opportunity for greedy capitalists to exploit our people.
And I mean, the EFF remains the only vehicle that will usher in economic freedom in our lifetime. And that will surely happen because the EFF is led by people who have got conviction. I mean, we're drawing a lot of inspiration and courage from the CIC. And looking at Cape Town is not a no-go area. It's going to be heavily contested. We're going to contest the Western Cape. Now, what do you think should be the roadmap for the EFF in the upcoming elections to try and win the hearts and minds of the people of the Western Cape?
I'm glad you say a roadmap because, the EFF doesn't start its campaign a month before elections.
Sure.
I mean, we've already started. We're building our structures. And we've got to make sure that EFF structures exist in every ward. Whether it's a African ward, Indian ward, white ward, colored ward, it must exist in every ward.
Yeah.
Right? Number one. Number two, we have to make sure that those structures are functioning. They meet regularly, they have programs. And this is when branches die. There's no programs. And the program is very simple. We've seen now Andries Tatani program where we go and clean up communities. And that's, the townships, African colored townships, are denied the level of services that the more affluent areas receive. And we should not wait for this useless Dieran city of Cape Town to come and take care of our communities.
Yeah.
We must do it ourselves. Those are the things that will build the organization. Those are the activities that will keep us together, those programs. And that would get the respect of the people who think that the EFF is just here as some self-serving group. We're not. There's a lot of people in the EFF that can do other stuff.
Yeah.
But, a lot of people speak about, hey, MPs earn a lot of money.
Say again?
They say MPs earn a lot of money.
Oh, yeah. Don't you, though?
I've been a member.
Don't you?
I've been a member of parliament for 10 years. Hey, never been so broke in my life. And I don't mind. As long as I take care of my responsibilities, my kids are fed and they have a roof over their heads. I think that's important. But we are not here for self-enrichment. We are here out of love for our people. People and the love for this country, and we're the ones that's going to rescue this country. So that is why we're here. And I must say, I must not neglect to say this. We speak about the current leadership, but I'm telling you, looking at the student command, the caliber of leadership there just gives you goosebumps. In the last NSA, students had a choice between two excellent leaders, Mafia Fana and Sigre Lonzi. That is how blessed we are. So, going forward, we are going to see even better than what we have at the moment. And what we have at the moment is actually the best crop of leadership across the different political parties.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that because I'm here. I mean, some of the strongest women here.
Yeah.
After God, fear EFF women, they will deal with you.
Why do you have to fear women though?
No.
Have you been dealt with?
Look, men are by nature, I think, given our upbringing and how we are raised as men and as boys, that you are raised like, even culturally, you're the head of your household and stuff like that. Women will come to you and say, hi. Who says you are better at doing this than me, right? And I think that's very fair. So if you have those patriarchal, chauvinistic, misogynistic tendencies, you must go there where those ones are.
On the other side.
This is not the place for you. Yeah, women will deal with you.
Yeah.
Even the men will deal with you. You're not going to oppress women here. They're not going to be marginalized here. So I think that's one of the beauties of the EFF. I feel comfortable with my daughters being members of the EFF.
Yeah.
Because I know the leadership here will protect women.
By all means.
And my daughters are very precious to me.
Are they EFF as well?
So my eldest daughter, she's at university, and prior to, and she's got, I don't know, she's got this really good mix of subjects. So she does psychology, political studies, maths.
Okay.
Okay. I think my daughters have this love for maths because Dad was a maths teacher. Right? So they have this love for maths. So it's always like a priority to them. They must do well at maths. So my daughter, she does political
What's
studies.
your ethnicity, by the way?
Me?
Yes.
I'm there's always I'm Malay origin.
Okay.
So in the 1700s, when people were deported for opposing the Dutch, I'm descended from one of those that opposed, and the first freedom fighter that was sent to Robben Island is Malay. So there's a tradition of resisting oppression. It's in my DNA.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, my daughter, she made all her classmates at university
Yeah.
in the
You know why I asked you about your
Paulsen class.
ethnicity?
Yeah.
I thought maybe you're Indian because they always say Indians are good with math. They're good with numbers.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was born in an Indian community, the biggest Indian community outside
Yeah.
of Durban, right? So in Cape Town. I was born in an Indian community, and obviously with group areas, we were even kicked out of the Indian community. That's how bad it was. So I go and visit that Indian community because I've got a lot of friends there.
Oh.
I even met the guy who. So I was born in this dwelling, wooden iron, no running water, no electricity,
Yeah.
and I know the guy who now owns that land and he's developed it. And I said, hey, but my umbilical cord is buried there.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I'm not Indian.
Okay. All right. So now I just want us to look at the song that will revive the spirits of the fighters and ensure that we are remaining steadfast and focused, gravitating towards socialist power. Noma Kube. Yeah. So what is the song of the day that you would like to dedicate to the fighters and the ground forces of the EFF?
Well, I kind of like the song that we had during elections, right? that Ringo sang. It brought a lot of excitement. We celebrated together. We were inspired together. And I would like to dedicate that song to the fighters. You know, we mustn't give up hope. We mustn't despair. You know, there's a long road. A lot of people will come and a lot of people will go. But the fight must continue.
Yeah. So Vuma Kamnandi is the song that we are bowing out with. So I just want to take this opportunity, Commissar, for coming through all the way from Cape Town. I understand you are busy in your deployments, and I understand there are elections. Is it by-elections that you are working on?
No, the by-elections here in, I think, Ward 11 in Lens, where I'll be coming to assist. There, it's an Indian community, so they'll also confuse me for being Indian.
Yeah.
So I'm going to assist there. I could basically fit into any community. I struggle with the languages though, but you know, it's what I love about the EFF.
It's diverse.
You know, I would not have had the opportunity to go and live in these remote areas.
Yeah.
That people from Cape Town don't go to. You know, to the people of the Western Cape.
Yeah.
The Western Cape ends at the Huguenot Tunnel. You know, and Salaris Pass.
Yeah.
Just there. They are very insular. To them, that's South Africa.
Yeah.
Outside of there is, you know, whereas the EFF, by deploying me across the country, have sent me to places that people from the Western Cape and especially the Cape Flats don't usually think of going to visit. And I would encourage them, go and visit Tzaneen in Limpopo.
You can go there anytime, any day.
Paradise.
Yeah.
Wow, what a beautiful place.
It is.
It's beautiful.
Let's go to Makuba Sloof.
Yes,
thank you very much,
I was there.
Commissar, for coming through. And thank you very much as well, the people of South Africa, Africa, and the world for tuning in. This is the EFF podcast. And remember to subscribe to the EFF YouTube channel for more content on the EFF podcast. So we are signing out with Vuma Kamnandi as dedicated by Commissar Nazir.
Amafighter fikile kweli shumi fighter ndivuma kamnandi amafighter fikile kweli shumi fighter ndivuma kamnandi